Well, excited about how our team played tonight. The last game before Christmas break is always a test of a lot of things. 17 weeks academically, and our guys have all done a really good job there, but there's a lot going on in their lives the last couple of weeks. And on top of that, the way our schedule fell, we're halfway across the country at Missouri for a 10 a.m. game. We're back home playing Grand Canyon for the first time at a 9 p.m. game, back in Houston against a very good team, back at a 10 a.m. game, and then here we are, all while juggling the student athlete, and now you have New Mexico, which we knew they were going to be excited. We're excited to renew the rivalry, and then every one of our players can't wait to get out of here, and I don't blame them. So I want to credit Kadeem Allen. I thought that his leadership in setting the tone on offense and defense, says a lot about really who he is. He played great at the beginning of the game. And Chance Comanche, that was the best game that he's played this season, maybe in 2 seasons. And I think that he showed not only all of us but himself that, in a process, things don't all of a sudden just, happen right away. You have to go through the bumps that come with a bigger role, learn what to do, what not to do. But just watching his energy and, 6 field goals, I think really came in a timely manner for him. He needed some confidence, and I think he's filled with it here right now.
Do you get more from a game like this or Saturday's game moving forward and getting you ready for what's ahead?
Well, you get a lot from each game. There was a lot of lessons for us to learn. We weren't in that same dire straits situation where they were mounting a comeback, but New Mexico tried to, on a made free throw, late in the game, hit us with that full court pressure to see if they could crack. And what we had worked on in the aftermath of the Texas A&M game, we were much more organized, and we got the ball out of the trap and brought it across half court. But sometimes those things happen because of learning the lesson that we learned in Houston. And then tonight, you saw us at times maybe at our best. And, New Mexico coming in the game was leading the nation in free throw points per game. I mean, they got to the line an average of 28 times per game. And for us, giving them only 16 attempts, we're learning how to play without fouling, and we have great size around the basket, and we're smarter in using the size now than maybe we would have been a couple weeks ago. So I thought that was another great sign for our team. And, we had some unforced turnovers, some head scratchers. But, that's kind of where we're at right now. Finishing with 16 turnovers. I wish it was more towards 10, but I'm confident that we can get there.
Did the MAC one-sidedness kind of take you by surprise?
It did. New Mexico, they weren't at their best tonight. Sometimes that happens. You know what? It happens the day before you leave for Christmas break. They're in the same situation as we are, except they happen to be on the road. So, I was following the Stanford game. They had a tough trip to SMU, and that's kind of their final game. They've been playing really well. I'm sure they weren't at their best. And that's why I give our team credit, because the one thing that was clear tonight, we were ready to play. And that was game 13 in a short period of time with some younger players. And our team was really excited to play the game, which is sometimes more important than actually the statistics.
Was that maybe partly a response to that, the way A&M finished up, that your guys wanted to keep it on the accelerator the whole time?
I think so. And, make no mistake, we left the A&M game with a lot of confidence. We were in command of that game for 34, 36 minutes. I mean, I've reviewed the game, and when I see that score with like 3 minutes and 45 seconds left, it's like, wow. It's hard to believe that they made the comeback that they did, but we covered that, and that's something that we've learned from, and we're moving on.
How do you feel about the preparedness for the conference, the schedule?
You really never know until you get in it. It's more difficult, especially when your first 2 games are on the road like ours are. But we played a lot of different styles. We played, I think, 6 games away from McHale, true road game at Missouri. The 3 neutral games that we scheduled, the single games, Texas A&M, Gonzaga, and Michigan State, we played 3 good teams there. Maybe one that's better than the other 2, but in big environments. Each of them had their own strengths. We learned a lot about our team. And then, Butler maybe doesn't get the credit that they deserve for how good they are. But, if you think about that game, we were right there. That's the one game where we had a lead, and usually they're coming out of that last media timeout. We do a better job than we did in that game. But, again, that's kind of who our team is or was. And but we're better because of it. So the one peace of mind I have is that we have played a number of different types of styles and teams. Bakersfield, we knew when we played them they were going to be good. I think as you continue to follow their season, they have the makings of a postseason team. We played them early on with 7 players. That was a game Kadeem Allen didn't play in. So part of our challenge isn't just the quality or who we played, but it's the circumstances that we played the game under. I mean, we've never had, other than just a handful of games, more than 7 available scholarship players. So if we could get some good health and some good news moving forward, it would be nice to have our full allotment of players. And if that's the case, I think this team has a big upside. And some of the experiences that our younger players have received because of the circumstances, I think can really add and make us maybe a little further along in conference play than we otherwise would have been.
Expecting good news?
I can't comment on that.
You've gotten some good play from Chance. You talked about him earlier, but Chance, after getting on him a couple times this year, how does he respond to your coaching? Obviously pretty good.
I think so. I think with Chance, where I'm consistent is, I just want him to play with a lot of energy and effort. He's blessed with some amazing talent. He's 6'11", he runs and he jumps effortlessly. He's really smart. He plays 2 positions. He knows everything that he's supposed to do. And, just go out there and play really hard and use that talent. And, tonight he did. And I think there were a number of plays, not just because he went 6 for 6 from the field, but just watching the energy plays that he made, he's capable of making those plays night in and night out. And I think he's one of the many things that I'm excited about moving forward because I think the best is yet to come for him.
You were saying, I think, a week or 2 ago that there were some things, though, some errors kept getting repeated that he wasn't getting past. I mean, was there anything in the last couple of days or tonight specifically that he kind of broke through in?
No, I think he just made his mind up that he was going to go out there and just let it all go, and it worked out for him.
Confidence?
All these guys' confidence, Dusan, you could see that at one point tonight he lost his confidence for whatever reason. But, in Houston, he was spectacular offensively. But each of these guys have their peaks and valleys, especially with the inexperience. That happens more to a younger player than it does somebody who's been through the seasons of a veteran. So we go through that sometimes. Raleigh, he's done some great things for our team, but, some of his turnovers tonight weren't good ones. He left his feet, threw the ball to the other team, but he'll learn, and I think his intent is really good. But I think that's part of coaching this team right now. You have to kind of play through some tough times. It's not going to be perfect. We don't have a junior, senior point guard backcourt combination. Right now we have a couple guards who are out. So we have a lot of players who are doing things for the first time.
Sean, they're a team that obviously has an inside-out game that you talked about in your presser earlier this week. Elijah's not starting right now, and how limited is that offense, is UNM's offense, when both of those guys aren't on the floor? I know they've been searching for a third scorer all season.
Yeah, I think they have a team where they have a lot of contributors, and they have 2 marquee, scorers, Williams inside and Elijah Brown outside, and you would say, hey, you guys did a great job. They combined for 31 points. You think about it. The thing we did a pretty good job of is, Williams scored 14 on 16 shots, and Brown scored 17 on 13 shots. So I guess we did a good job. I liked our game plan. We tried to trap Tim Williams as much as we could and maybe let some other guys not take shots but put the game in their hands, make him a passer. And I thought, you know, if I had a do-over, I would do the same thing again, at least with our team. That's our team's best bet. That doesn't mean that works for every team. And Elijah Brown, you know, Kadeem Allen's one heck of a defender. And he didn't guard him the entire night. Kobe Simmons guarded him a little bit. But when Kadeem's on you, you really feel it. I mean, trust me, there aren't many guards defensively that bring more to their team than what Kadeem brings to us.
And that trapping of Tim Williams, I know they start off 0-11, and Elijah wasn't on the floor for much of that because he's not starting anymore. Does that really kind of simplify things from a defensive scheme standpoint when
No,
you
I
have
mean,
to focus on?
Hey, look, Craig Neal, he knows his team a lot better than I do. He knows what he's doing. He's really a good coach. And, you know, sometimes in non-conference play, you have to figure some things out. We're the ultimate example of that. So, you know, I think nights like tonight may really help them once they get into conference play.
When you talk about the different experiences you've had in the non-conference, looking back big picture, any other moments or styles, you know, that you think particularly really kind of jumped out that might help you down the road?
You know, I like the fact that we're 11-2. I mean, I really do. You know, I guess we could be 13-0 or 12-1, but I think considering the circumstances, I think all of us feel like job well done for our group. And now it really comes down to how much we can improve and how much better we can become during the next stretch, which obviously is the Pac-12. So
And how do you think this break will help in terms of maybe rest or whatever, emotional or otherwise?
well, we played 13 games before Christmas. There are other teams doing that this year because the Pac-12 starts earlier. Most of the teams in years gone, you know, prior, they would always save one game for after the holidays. I like giving our guys a true Christmas break, and then it's like the end of non-conference, Christmas, don't worry about anything, and come back, get ready for conference. That's our philosophy. But sometimes when you do that, you can really bite off more than you can chew because, again, you're playing these games the last couple of weeks during the end of the semester. You're traveling, and you need to be ready for every game. And that's probably the thing that I like the most about our team. I really feel like we've been ready for every game. You know, people sometimes will point to Gonzaga. That's the one game we really didn't have a chance. I mean, Parker got hurt in the second half against Texas Southern. We only had like a day and a half turnaround. We had no shoot around. We're playing a really, really good team. We just did the best we could, but we weren't able to be as organized as we needed to be to really win that game. But again, since that, we've become better.
Some years past, you've had Christmas breaks, guys go away, and you've mentioned, you know, sometimes like family or whatever around them thinking about playing time. Is that maybe less of an issue now? Everybody's playing a lot, things are going well. Do you not worry as much about this?
I hope so. I certainly am not going to worry about it. And if it happens, good luck to them. I mean, eventually you have to come to grips as a coach that we have a terrific program and we treat our players the right way, that they have to really buy into being a part of something that's bigger than their own goals and dreams. I mean, we have a shoot-around today. We had 3 NBA people at our shoot-around, 1 general manager. When we travel, we fly on a charter flight. When we play a home game, we play in front of 15,000. Our guys eat the best food. They have a brand new academic center. I can keep going on and on and on. And if this isn't good enough, then, you know, they're going to have to figure out what's better. But for us, I think we're in a good place. You know, you never quite know at this level. That's the world of college basketball right now. But I expect everybody to return, and hopefully, like I said, we can at some point have our full cast. I know when we recruited them, we recruited all these guys to play, and it'd be nice to have all of them back.
Would they get off till, you gonna come back Christmas Day or Christmas night? Or
We're coming back. Everybody will travel back on the 25th, just because of the timing. That first practice is hard, but I think that gives them 4 true days off, and then, you know, we'll build towards Friday where we're at Cal. And, you know, I don't know enough about Cal and Stanford other than I know both teams are good and well coached. That will be their season opener in the Pac-12 at home. So I think everybody knows what we'll be in for when we show up there.
So first practice on Monday, they just gotta be back by Christmas? Because you have guys going out east, that's not easy sometimes.
No, that first practice will be on Christmas evening. Yeah, they'll leave early in the morning, and some guys might leave the night before.
You gonna go to the mall and get some stuff?
Yeah, I better. Yeah, I better. Yeah, but it's a great time of year for everybody. You know, college basketball, it's because we go through 2 semesters, and the way the recruiting is set up, I mean, you can't name a holiday that something's not going on in college basketball, unfortunately. So this break at Christmas comes at a good time for everybody. It gives you some sanity. It allows you to kind of step away. And I think when you come back, like I said, you're really coming back to focus on the Pac-12, and you're coming back to focus on the next thing that makes up our season. So happy holidays.